Hello, I am here with your April 17th, 2021 tarot. We are going to use the Book of Shadows Tarot. I've done an off-screen pre-shuffle, and now we ask for our messages for Saturday, April 17th, 2021. I'm channeling my inner rock star. I am wearing a Skid Row shirt. And for those of you who may not be familiar with Skid Row, they were a very popular band in the 80s and into the 90s with a Canadian frontman. You guys may know of him. His name is Sebastian Bach, originally from Peterborough, Ontario, Canada, which happens to also be the same place that my brother-in-law is from. Go figure. This deck, I had for a while. I used it last week, and I've really just started to be drawn to it. And I'm really loving them. And the messages are a little bit unique. They're slightly different, so I may reference the book just again because there is 72 cards to memorize. So with all of that, I'm just moving some papers around. Also, the big hair, if you noticed. You ever feel like that you were born kind of on the wrong end of an era? I certainly do. And that plays back to the Skid Row shirt. Skid Row. I was just a little bit young to really get in on the big hair, but I understand why it went out of fashion. Just because it does take a lot of hairspray to get to. Oh well, I missed out on the good times. My generation got grunge. The only grunge band that I actually really liked was Alice in Chains. Okay, onto the tarot. We're going to start off the bottom of the deck. We do have two major arcanas here, and we do have a 10. So this means there's some closing out of cycles. But the background influencing energy... Here's my mouth. This is why I missed out on the big hair. This gets stuck in your lipstick and in your eyelashes. But off the bottom of the deck, we have the Crone of Fire. Now, the crone is equal to the king. Very noble in this deck, wise, lighting the way. It's fire energy, therefore it is wands energy. So it's very quick moving, with this deck, not business-like, but definitely a leader. Also, from the bottom of the deck, major arcana card, we have Wisdom, otherwise known as the High Priestess. And I am going to read this one because there is a little bit of a difference. Yes, it is still feminine energy, but as you can see, there is the yin and yang. She's calling in the power of balance. Twos in the tarot are always about balance. And the water energy, she's definitely very mystical, very still High Priestess type energy. And again, more wisdom, combining intelligence and intuition. So very similar, only this particular card isn't so much about secrets, whereas the traditional tarot is about secrets. I'm just going to have a quick look at the wands here, just because there is some differences. So we've got... We do have 10 of fire. We'll get started with this guy. I'm just double checking the king one as well, or the crone. The crone also does not have to necessarily mean king. In this deck, the crone is a female figure. So there is a lot of feminine energy in this deck. The masculine is a little bit of a different feel. But with the 10 of Fire, it's actually in the book Stars. Talking about fate, things that can't be changed. Then we have Yule. Yule also being the Death card. Shocking. Are we seeing a theme here? I think so. There's something that has been fated for us. Now, the Yule card in the Wiccan religion is usually Christmas time, which is kind of usually seen as a little bit more of a celebratory type energy. And I know that reading from the book can maybe seem a little bit, I don't know, like I'm not prepared. And in all honesty, I'm kind of not, because I'm still learning this deck. And there's really no better way to learn a deck than to actually use them, and use them in a manner that you're going to remember it. So please, if you're a tarot reader, do not be afraid to use your book. So Yule is the end of something. Moment of darkness before dawn, a crisis of faith, fear or hope for change, refusing to let things go, or looking to the past rather than the future. Up next, we have some earth energy, and earth energy, not really super surprising that we're seeing, because we are on the cusp of the sun moving into the sign of Taurus, and Taurus is an earth sign. So we're going to start feeling a little more grounded, a little more earthy. We are also going to be, I'll talk about more once we actually get into Taurus season, but all of those plans we made during Aries season, once we hit Taurus, that's when we put our plans into action. That's when we start the doing. And the Maiden of Earth is the equivalent to, yes, I'm looking, Knight. So Knight of Pentacles type energy here. Now again, it's feminine energy, and the Maiden of Earth takes her place among the new blossoms in the field. And where I live in Northern Ontario, Canada, May is actually more of our true spring, where we can actually look at the blossoms of flowers and the trees are blossoming, and it's real spring for us then. There's a lot of you who may have already experienced spring. My tulips are literally about 4 inches tall right now, whereas I know in Southern Ontario the tulips are in full bloom, and some of them, depending on where you are, the tulips may even be done. And ours haven't even started yet. So for us, Taurus season is really, honestly, the time when we can take our place among the blossoms. There's a lightness and gratitude. I love the message that this is starting to shape out to be. So we are using more of a feminine energy here as this last cycle closes out. We are moving forward with a lot of wisdom. We're using it's more of an equal balance rather than a full-on feminine feel, but there's a lightness and a freshness coming in as the last darkness of winter disappears. And this deck really kind of brings out that earthy kind of, okay, believe it or not, I've never watched Harry Potter, but it gives kind of a Harry Potter type of feel with the closing out of the darkness of winter for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. And we're putting that all to bed, and we're starting to call in the new, and we're seeing it, and we're being grateful for it. We're being grateful for those longer sunny days. And now that we here where I'm living, because we just had a week of rain, we've had the sun for 2 days, and things are starting to turn green, and the weather's turning better. And there's a lightness, there's a freshness, that darkness of winter, all of that old cycle that you may attach to that dark, cold, heavy feeling, that's starting to slip away, and we're letting it go. Even though there is some fear of the change, fear of the new, there is resistance to let the past go. Now's the time to do that though. Call in whatever you need to call in to help you move forward. And as you do step into that fresh newness, be grateful for it, for every singular step, and try not to look too much into the future. That's when anxiety can set in. Be grateful for today. Are you safe for today? Then maybe say a little bit of thanks for that. So I'm going to leave it here. This is a slightly longer video than I normally try for, but there's a lot of, even though there's a lot of darker imagery, the stars, we're at the end of a cycle and the stars are starting to come out and play. And they were super bright last night. I have a funny feeling they might be again tonight. The sunsets, for us, it's almost 9 o'clock now instead of 4:35. And it really seemed to just fly by these last few weeks. So use that little bit of darkness where you need it and use it to actually propel your gratitude for the light coming in, because there is so much fresh new energy. And there's almost an excitement from these cards that is coming through. And this is a great way to really get into your weekend. I hope that you have a great weekend. If you're working, please try and get out and enjoy at least a little bit of the sunlight, because the sun is up around 7. It's now setting around 9. You have an opportunity to at least get an hour or 2 of daylight. So I am going to leave this here, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.